In the heart of the African Congo, deep in the swamps of the Likwala region, whispers persist of a creature known as Mokele Mbembe. Locals describe it as a massive, long-necked animal with a tail like a crocodile's and the body of a sauropod. For decades, cryptozoologists and explorers have followed these rumors, hoping to prove that a dinosaur, yes, a real, living dinosaur, still walks the Earth. Most scientists dismiss these accounts as folklore. But if that's true, why do reports keep emerging from multiple, unrelated regions, including the Amazon and Papua New Guinea? Are they all lies? Or are we refusing to believe the impossible satellites have only mapped a fraction of the world's densest jungles? What if a small population of prehistoric creatures survived extinction in isolated pockets after all? The coelacanth, once thought extinct for 65 million years, was found alive in 938. So the question remains, have we truly discovered everything on this planet? Or have we overlooked the most shocking truth of all, that the age of dinosaurs may never have ended? We trust museums. We trust that the bones displayed behind glass are genuine. But what if many of those famous dinosaur skeletons are not fossils at all, but plaster replicas based on fragmentary evidence? Worse yet, some are outright forgeries. In the 1990s, a supposed missing link fossil called Archaeoraptor was unveiled with great fanfare. It turned out to be a fake, an amalgam of unrelated species glued together to look like a feathered dinosaur. It wasn't an isolated incident. Fossil smuggling and counterfeit specimens are a billion-dollar black market. From China to Morocco, entire industries profited from creating real-looking fossils for collectors and institutions. Are we being lied to about dinosaur history for the sake of money and prestige? Some paleontologists have quietly raised alarm bells for years, only to be dismissed or discredited. Why? Because if the narrative is questioned, the entire foundation of popular paleontology could crumble. So how much of what we know about dinosaurs is actually a carefully curated illusion? Ask any science teacher today, and they'll tell you birds are modern-day dinosaurs. But not all scientists agree. The dominant theory holds that birds evolved from small theropods like Velociraptor, the evidence-feathered fossils like Microraptor and the infamous Archaeopteryx. But critics argue that similarities between birds and dinosaurs are superficial, and the fossil trail is far from conclusive. Paleontologist Alan Fiducia has long challenged the dinosaur-bird link, citing differences in wrist structure, breathing systems, and embryonic development. If he's right, the entire dinosaur-to-bird narrative could be flawed. Even more troubling, some feathered dinosaurs may have been misidentified fossils of birds that lived alongside dinosaurs. Are we retrofitting the evidence to match a fashionable theory? And why has this alternative view been silenced in academic circles? Could it be that the romantic idea of birds as dinosaurs sells more books, documentaries, and museum tickets? We must ask, is science pursuing truth or just the most marketable story? Tyrannosaurus rex, the ultimate predator, the king of the dinosaurs. Or was it? Some paleontologists now suggest that T. rex may not have been the fierce hunter we've been taught to worship. Its short arms, forward-facing eyes, and large olfactory lobes hint at a creature built not for battle, but for sniffing out rotting carcasses. Its legs may have been too bulky for sustained high-speed chases. In fact, its bite force, while immense, may have been better suited to crushing bone than killing prey. Could it be that T. rex, the terror of every Jurassic Park fan, was more like a giant vulture than a lion? Scavengers play a vital role in ecosystems, but they don't make good movie monsters. That's why this theory is often brushed aside, because it tarnishes the legend. But if we look at nature today, Some of the most efficient survivors are scavengers. Rex wasn't a king, but a cleaner. And maybe our obsession with it has more to do with Hollywood than with science. Everyone knows the story. A giant asteroid struck Earth 6 million years ago, creating the Chicxulub crater and wiping out the dinosaurs. But what if that's not the whole truth? Some scientists argue that massive volcanic eruptions in India, the Deccan Traps, spewed toxic gases and ash for hundreds of thousands of years, altering the climate and acidifying oceans long before the asteroid hit. Others point to changes in sea level, atmospheric oxygen, or even disease. The asteroid may have been the final blow, but not the cause. If that's true, then our narrative about sudden, catastrophic extinction needs rewriting. Perhaps the dinosaurs were already in decline, weakened by environmental stress and competition. Or maybe different species died out at different times, making the mass extinction idea too simplistic. Could the truth be more complex and more unsettling? Are we ignoring uncomfortable data in favor of a dramatic, one-size-fits-all explanation? History is rarely that clean. When we think of dinosaurs, we picture brute force, not brains. But what if some species evolved higher intelligence than we've ever imagined? Consider Troodon, a small, bird-like predator with the largest brain-to-body ratio of any known dinosaur. Some paleontologists speculate it may have been as smart as a modern opossum or even a primitive primate. If the asteroid had missed, could Troodon, or something like it, have evolved into a truly intelligent species? Could we be sharing the planet with dinosaur descendants capable of tool use, language, or even civilization? It sounds like science fiction, but it's based on real neurological studies. In fact, Canadian paleontologist Dale Russell once theorized about a hypothetical dinosauroid, a bipedal, big-brained creature that might have evolved from Troodon. Was he laughed at? Absolutely. But he wasn't alone in thinking the potential was there. If intelligence is an evolutionary advantage, why wouldn't it have emerged in dinosaurs too? For decades, dinosaurs were portrayed as sluggish, cold-blooded reptiles. Then came the warm-blooded dinosaur revolution. But what if both views are wrong? New research suggests dinosaurs may have had a unique metabolic system, neither fully warm nor cold-blooded, but something in between. Some scientists call it mesothermy, a hybrid strategy seen in tuna and great white sharks. This would have allowed dinosaurs to maintain high activity levels without needing as much food or energy as mammals. It's a fascinating idea, but also a challenge to traditional categories. What does it mean if dinosaurs don't fit our modern labels? Could we be projecting our mammalian biases onto creatures from a completely different evolutionary path? The more we learn, the more dinosaurs resist our attempts to simplify them. And that's unsettling, because it reminds us how little we really know. Even after centuries of digging through the past, we know that birds sing and crocodiles roar, but what about dinosaurs? Were they silent beasts, or did they have complex vocalizations? Fossilized skulls show structures similar to those in modern animals used for sound production. Some researchers believe hadrosaurs may have used their crests as resonating chambers. Others suggest Rex could produce low-frequency infrasound that traveled long distances, perhaps to communicate or intimidate rivals. The idea of dinosaurs talking challenges the notion of them as simple beasts. Could they have had social structures, warning calls, or even primitive songs? If so, then we've misunderstood their world entirely. We've portrayed dinosaurs as roaring monsters, but the reality might have been subtler, eerier, and eerily familiar. The voices of the past may still echo if we learn how to listen. Forget dull gray reptiles. What if dinosaurs were as colorful as tropical birds? Pigment cells called melanosomes have been discovered in some feathered fossils, offering clues to actual coloration. Some dinosaurs may have had iridescent feathers, striped patterns, or even camouflage. Why does this matter? because it changes everything about how we perceive them. Dinosaurs weren't just giant lizards, they were vibrant, visually complex creatures with behaviors linked to display, mating, and deception. But there's resistance to this idea, especially in media and merchandise. A rainbow-colored velociraptor doesn't sell as well as a terrifying black one. Have we chosen to ignore the truth because it doesn't match the monster movie image we love? Are we sacrificing accuracy for drama? It sounds absurd until you hear NASA scientists entertain the idea. The Silurian hypothesis asks if a technologically advanced civilization existed millions of years ago. Would we be able to detect it today? Geologic processes erase almost all traces over deep time. So, if a dinosaur species had developed intelligence and technology, evidence might be completely gone. Could there have been a short-lived species, perhaps underground or coastal, that left behind no skyscrapers, no satellites, but something we've misinterpreted as natural? We think of civilization as uniquely human. But is that arrogance? Maybe we're not the first advanced beings on Earth, just the first to leave behind plastic and radiation. The real question isn't whether it happened. The question is, how would we ever know? When you look at a dinosaur skeleton in a museum, you assume it's accurate. But most of what we see is guesswork educated. Yes, but still speculative. Soft tissues like skin, muscles, and organs rarely fossilize, so scientists rely on modern animals for comparison. But what if dinosaurs were built very differently? Some reconstructions may exaggerate or misplace muscles, posture, or even skull shape. The classic tail-dragging dinosaurs of the 20th century were later deemed inaccurate. Yet even today's models may be misleading. Could a velociraptor have had feathered arms like a bird or something more alien? Did Stegosaurus really have 2 rows of plates? Or is that an artistic choice? Without skin impressions, coloration, and soft tissue details, we're filling gaps with imagination. Some experts even argue we may be building the wrong image entirely. So what if we've misunderstood what dinosaurs really looked like? Every fossil tells a story, but are we reading that story correctly? Many fossilized skeletons are incomplete or crushed. Paleontologists must reassemble them like a puzzle with many missing pieces. But what if some reconstructions are just wrong? Bones might be placed incorrectly, or even mixed with bones from other species. The Brontosaurus debacle is a famous example. Its head was mistakenly taken from a different dinosaur. Even worse, some bones may be so eroded or damaged that we can't tell what species they belong to. Are we inventing species that never existed? And are rival paleontologists more concerned with publishing quickly than with getting it right? The fossil record is incomplete, fragmented, and open to interpretation. What we see in textbooks may be more fiction than fact, and yet we rarely question it. From childhood, we're taught a specific story. Dinosaurs were giant reptiles. They ruled the earth. They died suddenly. And now we dig them up. But what if this entire story is a cultural construction, an oversimplified myth? Museums, movies, and textbooks repeat the same narrative year after year. Is it because it's true, or because it's popular science is supposed to evolve? Yet our image of dinosaurs has barely changed in decades. Why? Because too much money, prestige, and reputation are tied to the dinosaur industry. Paleontology is not immune to bias, competition, and sensationalism. We may not even realize how deep our assumptions run. If we question too much, we risk being labeled as conspiracy theorists. But real science invites doubt. So we must ask, have we really uncovered the truth about dinosaurs? Or have we simply learned to stop asking uncomfortable questions?